So let's talk about GameStop. GameStop, big time video game retailer, a little bit struggling out there, but still very much part of the conversation. They made some news yesterday when Wall Street Journal reported that they are indeed progressing with their NFT marketplace. Now, this news was first teased, I think, back in October on a little site called CoinDesk.com when we stumbled upon some job posts that laid out much of the detail here. To the Wall Street Journal's credit, however, they were able to get a few more facts on the record. They've already hired about 20 people for this division. GameStop has. They are working with possibly 2 crypto companies to get this thing off the ground. And that sent all sorts of assets skyward. GameStop itself was up, I think, about 26% in after-hours trading, based on speculation as to who those crypto companies that they were working with could be. Loopring and its LRC token surged on the news. They're thought to be one of the teams potentially working with GameStop, but none of this is yet confirmed. So, further details on GameStop's foray into Web3. Interesting stuff. I'm going to toss this to Naomi for her initial thoughts on the GME NFT marketplace plans.
I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts here. So we've seen the market share of GameStop just decrease as people move away from buying physical copies of games and they're just downloading it. So it basically takes away a huge amount of GameStop's business model, hence why so many people have been shorting them. And obviously last year we saw the whole meme stock surge and everyone's like, no, we must protect the underdog or something. And so it's interesting that then in the last year, we've kind of seen them try to do this big turnaround, capitalize on this surge in interest and attention that they're getting. So they actually overhauled their executive team last year. They named Ryan Cohen as the chairman. He was the co-founder of the pet product retailer Chewy and sold that for $3.35 billion. So someone who really does know what he's doing when it comes to, revitalizing a business and creating something very successful. So he's been really pushing to make GameStop more tech-centric. The big question I have, though, is, sure, it's interesting that they're capitalizing on this blockchain world and this Web3 world, on this NFT world, all of these buzzwords. We've seen that this has worked for companies in the past where they start attaching these buzzwords to the name of their company and suddenly, the stock prices surge. But the biggest question I have revolves around this feud between the gaming community and the NFT community, because it seems to me like it makes sense to me. I'm with Ryan. I think, yes, gaming is the obvious next stop for NFTs. This is a community that is so used to having in-game assets and being able to even buy them with real world money. But the problem is that currently, up until NFTs, you couldn't then really sell things outside of these enclosed walled gardens, because you couldn't transfer that value. They, as I said, are walled gardens. That value is siloed off and you can't really re-access it. NFTs would be a way to potentially bring this value to open marketplaces and allow you to trade these assets in the wild, which seems really cool. And yet the gaming community hates them. There's been so much pushback from people saying don't bring Ethereum into Discord. Don't bring NFTs into our gaming platform. They're the gaming community is so angry. I don't know whether it's just a graphics card rivalry, whether they're just we need the processing power, stay away, NFT, crypto people. But it's a weird rivalry that shouldn't exist, yet it does. And GameStop is relying on that rivalry disappearing and then being able to capitalize on this hybrid of the gaming market and the NFT market. So we'll see how that plays out. But Jen, I will throw it to you for your take.
Yeah, my take was almost exactly the same. I think that GameStop has done a really good job at capitalizing on the publicity they got from WallStreetBets and really changing their business to kind of encapsulate what's happening. So I think that what they've done is really interesting. I was also pondering this feud between the crypto industry and the gaming industry. I do think it's really smart, though, that they're getting into virtual assets. I mean, we've seen a lot of these companies get into NFTs, and it seems a little bit far away from their original business. This feels like it's still in their sandbox. And so what I wonder is, with such an experienced executive team, is if they've done the market research and what they're going to do to kind of get gamers on board. I'm sure they've done some thinking. They're very smart people, so I'm sure they've done some thinking. I'm just wondering what's going to happen next and how they're going to win over these gamers to actually get these in-game assets and participate in the NFT community. But I'll pass it back to you, Naomi.
Well, I'm wondering, is GameStop going to be the party responsible for ending this long-time feud? I mean, that would be kind of fun.
I really hope so.
I hope so. That'd be, but I agree with you, Jen, that it's absolutely a smart move for them to be exploring new territory because their old business model is dead and they need to be exploring other horizons. But Zach, I'll throw it to you.
I think they walked into a hornet's nest on this one. I think a lot of their early announcements on this or early signals, the early sort of telegraphing of this, it precedes a lot of the backlash that we saw with Ubisoft, that we saw with a number of titles that didn't really happen until December. So all of a sudden, the landscape has shifted underneath the feet of GameStop here. And all of a sudden, this cool, hot thing that might be their savior could also be a hit to their brand legitimacy among those ornery gamers. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to watch this one unfold. I'm pretty pumped to see what happens. Naomi, last thoughts, and we'll change gears.
I just wonder whether there's there's so many fueling parties out there. We've just put a bunch of fueling parties together to feud with each other. So I wonder whether they're just going to cancel each other out because the meme-stop crowd game stonks. It's this epic movement with so many people who are so passionate about supporting GameStop and whatever GameStop decides to do. So you come back, you have them maybe start to combat the gaming community. It could get really vicious, or they could just kind of self-combust. I'm very interested to see those two factors come into play and deal with each other.